Hello, and thanks for joining me today. I'd like to begin my speech by asking you to imagine something. It may not be pleasant, but I want you to imagine your feet are long past blistered. Imagine you've got blisters forming over your blisters, all of which have broken open to leave your feet looking and feeling like a bloody ground beef. If that weren't enough, you've got 60 pounds on your back, and it's beginning to feel a little bit more like 100 as you're crossing mile 7. Welcome to another day in the life of a United States service military member. Whether it's serving overseas or training in country, this is a common situation for most members of the armed forces. As unappealing as this may sound, all those in the armed forces will willingly sacrifice many of the daily comforts we take for granted. By sacrificing their well-being, time, comfort, humanity, sanity, and sometimes even their lives, they are the front lines of the battles to defend our freedoms. Today I wish to speak to you in commemoration of all their sacrifices and in remembrance of all the freedoms that we take for granted. So many of us are familiar with the more obvious dedication and challenges of being in the armed forces. Most people have at least heard of the rigorous physical and educational training known as boot camp or basic training, depending on the branch of service. But not all are exactly aware of how demanding these times of intense training really are. An article in the Journal of Athletic Training, written by Joellen M. Sefton, estimates that nearly 600,000 soldiers incur a major injury every year. That's in the Army alone. And the majority of these are caused by the intense physical training they undergo. And as I mentioned, bloody hands and feet are a common daily occurrence, as is constant muscle soreness. On top of the physical demands, they're expected to learn all the formalities and minutiae of military life. To assimilate into a new lifestyle, they must act, talk, and even think in entirely new ways. While injuries can heal and minds can adapt, time is a limited resource that we can never really get back. Truly, one of the most valuable things you can give is your own time. The average initial military enlistment period or contract is about 6 years. So someone would enlist and they'll serve about 4 years of active duty and then 4 years of inactive duty or reserves. Though there are shorter and longer enlistment periods, this is the most common one served. So I want you to remember back to your time in high school. Think of all the friends you made, all the memories you had, and the extent to which you and your life around you were changed in those years. Now imagine spending that entire time away from friends and family, enduring grueling physical and mental demands. Imagine how much your life and the life you left behind would change in that time. This is what every active duty military member deals with. Most of them come back and still have a couple years of inactive duty that must be served, further elongating this service period. Though one's time is surely invaluable, there are still more severe sacrifices made by these men and women of the armed forces that give them the title of hero. Joseph Campbell, an American author and professor, put it perfectly when he was quoted saying, "A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself." I have yet to find a better definition of hero. Simply looking at those that lost their lives from 1891 to 1991, the statistics are staggering. According to the Congressional Research Service, the most recent report on total casualties in these wars in those 100 years amounts to 619,538. If you think about it, this is the equivalent to the entire city of Green Bay being wiped off the face of the earth 3 times. We must never forget those ones that have paid the greatest price for our freedoms. Even of those fortunate enough to make it back from their service alive may not have made it in one piece. Physically, the loss of a limb in combat is all too common. According to a recent report in the Journal of Rehabilitation Research and Development, more than 1,164 veterans lost one major limb in just Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom alone. Well, even of those lucky enough not to sustain physical harm, not all make it back unharmed. A separate piece of research by James Pittman looked at the same pool of veterans from Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Of 1.64 million service members, rates of PTSD and depression have been estimated to be 5 to 17 and 2 to 10% respectively. So put into real numbers, this is a minimum of 33,000, potentially a maximum of 278,000 veterans that might be suffering from either PTSD or depression. Though their designated time of service may be over, the impacts of these service are as enduring and crippling. But those very sacrifices are not wasted, though. It's because of these heroes that we can choose whatever career path we desire. It's because of these heroes we have the right to write and say whatever we feel. It's because of these heroes that we can live wherever we want. And it's because of these heroes that we can enjoy a prosperous life free of persecution. We can save up to buy a car or even just share an ice cream cone with a friend in the summer. You see, our freedoms are bought by the suffering of these heroes. So, in summary, those enlisted in the United States Armed Forces dedicate their lives to making many sacrifices for the benefit of the country that they love, us. They endure physical pain, years of time lost, persisting mental and physical trauma, and finally, the ultimate price of their lives. Let us never forget these hefty prices paid for our luxuries. And you know, though some may claim that those that enlist choose to pursue this life, we cannot write off their suffering as a choice, nor can we forget to be thankful. A reporter during World War II, Elmer Davis, put it best when he was quoted saying, "This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it remains the home of the brave." Thank you.